What have you had to learn about Audric Estime and Evan Holm and what all they can do as you try to divvy out the roles with them?
A lot. It's obviously, not having them here for a good majority of the season, it's kind of been a learn on the fly. But both those guys done a really nice job, and then Joel Thomas, our running back coach, did an excellent job preparing them. They both done a nice job fitting in, and they made some big plays when we needed them.
Is there a decent element of those two just having some kind of complementary skill sets, even if they're not your main guys, they at least balance out each other a little bit?
Yeah, they do a little bit, and obviously the situation we were in the other day with, Devin not being available, they had to. They just had to go, and we had to make the best of it. And those guys deserve a lot of credit. They were prepared. They knew what they needed to do. They were assignment sound, and they executed.
I know their defense is kind of faltering at this point, but how familiar are you with Aaron Glenn, and how many times have you gone up against him when you played out of their defense on Sunday?
Well, I know this. They're going to play hard. They're going to be physical. Aaron is a very, very talented, head coach and coordinator. I mean, he always got a lot of respect for his defenses, and having played that group in Detroit a couple times, and then, seeing what they've done in New York this season, obviously, there may be some new wrinkles with a new coordinator this week, so we'll be prepared to adjust throughout the game.
Let's talk about quarterback development and taking that leap, but I'm curious about how it's different for maybe a tackle. Kelvin's going through it, Tolly, but specifically from year 1 to year 2, Tolly's doing, what's kind of the biggest hurdle guys need to learn or for that position specifically?
Well, I think when you talk specifically about the position of quarterback and offensive tackle, you're talking about two of the most difficult positions to play in all of football. That's why there's a premium. Tackles make a premium in money when you talk about salary caps. So do quarterbacks. Why? Because they're asked to do a lot of hard stuff. And, so when you talk about a learning curve, there's so much that goes into it. And, every system is different, the way they approach the game, what they ask the guys to do. So I think it's hard to peg one thing. But you're going to have, like I was saying, there's steeper learning curves for some positions than others. And those are two that have, the two steepest probably on offense when you talk about what a new player coming into a system has to learn, has to be able to handle, and then put a premium on their job execution.
I'm curious on how some of the challenges Full has gone through this year in terms of just with his health, how that might benefit him for the long term.
Well, obviously anytime a player's dealing with injuries, and obviously Tolly's had to go through that, and that's, not something that's pleasant for anybody. Obviously, we want him available every game, and he wants to play in every game, but that's not the case. So I think, what you see guys do is as they go through their career, they learn to handle the waves that come with this. And, as you say, you never want to get too high, you never want to get too low. You got to stay neutral. There's going to be days that are really good days. And I think that's, when you talk about those positions, you talk about a tackle can go out and dominate a game and dominate an elite rush guy in one game. But you know what? You got to go out the next week and do it again against another elite rusher. And so can you handle when you do dominate somebody, I got to go back and just be the same guy next week. And then, hey, maybe I didn't have my best game and I gave up some pressures or some sacks. You got to forget about that quick and be able to get back to neutral and then go play again.
Can you talk about, a couple times this season, you've seen kind of the tackle over concepts. I know that was the Devin Hill touchdown was one of those. What are some of the advantages? Obviously, get big guys out there, but what are some of the things you like about that play?
Without going too much into schematics, obviously, you're creating another gap with a offensive lineman to one side of the field. Now you're losing, the other side. So, but it forces defenses to make a decision. Do you adjust the front? Do you slide the front? Do you try and overcompensate with the back end? How are you going to play your gaps? So that's why we do a lot of it, is to force people, to keep gap integrity.
What does it mean what does it do for a team to have a young quarterback and a tackle given their premium positions and seeing Tyler and Kelvin maybe go together?
Well, obviously, like I've talked before about both those two guys, their maturity level, the way that they both handled everything throughout the season this year. Obviously, there's been some really positive things, and there's been some things that haven't gone the way that all of us had hoped. So I think, like I said, as you go through those, that helps to, it really develops, so to say, your library that you can draw on, experiences that you've been through, that as you go through your career, you draw on those things and you're able to bring, the positive things back and realize, hey, you know what? I remember when I had a tough time and you know what? I got through that. I'm going to get through this one too.
You make of Kevin Austin stepping up a couple catches after your mom went down?
Yeah, so happy for Kevin. He's worked extremely hard all season, hasn't had a lot of opportunities. Got into a situation, his number got called, and he showed up. The old adage, next guy up. Just really happy for Kevin. I think it shows the way he's prepared, and obviously he was prepared to go in the game and execute.